Bună seara, stimați prieteni, sunt Cătălin Vasile și vă spun bine ați venit la o nouă ediție a emisiunii Realitatea la zi. Vă mulțumim că și în seara aceasta ați ales să petreceți următoarele minute împreună cu noi. Datorită faptului că invitatul principal din această seară este vorbitor de limba engleză, vom face toată emisiunea în limba engleză, așa că, stimați prieteni, nu vă îngrijorați, rămâneți cu noi, emisiunea va fi subtitrată în limba română. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I have the pleasure to introduce today our guest and welcome to Mr. Milton Timmer, the CEO of More Messages in Media, and also welcome Mr. Mircea Pătrășescu, the GM of Master Media. Welcome, my friends, to our studio.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, I'm very honored to have you as my guest tonight, speaking about media and especially media in the Christian context, you know, preaching the gospel through media, through television. And I would like to address some questions, and we'll see together if the Bible, if the Christian teachings can be spread using television or not, or if it's possible, how we can do it, and based on your experience, or both, because both of you are involved in this mission for many years, let's try to understand together, because we also, as Prodocens Media, we try to do this, so we would like to learn more from you as very experienced person in this job. So, Martin, for you, the first question. I know you are more or less for 33 years involved in this mission as a GM, as the CEO of More of this organization, which is called More Messaging Media. Okay, what is the purpose of organization, and what is your vision as an organization?
At this point of time, our vision is to make 1 million disciples via modern media and bring them into a Christian community by 2030. That's our goal that we have formulated a couple of years ago. We believe that media is a way to reach people that otherwise cannot be reached, or that are hard to reach, you know, for, let's say, as there are no Christians in their surroundings. So we focus more or less on the so-called 1040 window, the 10th to 40th latitude, where 2/3 of the world population lives, and a lot of people do not know Jesus Christ at this point of time.
Excellent. Because I know that you are involved in this for many years, more than 30 years, and do you see any difference of this vision 30 years ago, and so especially the difference between the way you were doing in television 30 years ago and now when we have the internet almost everywhere?
Well, if we look at the developments that took place, we have been moving to areas where it is very hard to be on television. So that kind of forced us also to move more into the social media realm. But also that forced us to look more into the issue of discipleship itself. And actually it's kind of winding backwards, I would say, from that goal of discipleship to social media and television, to see how you can reach the people in a good way. Meaning that if you do not do discipleship also in a good manner, then, and you don't have that purposely in mind, that has changed over time, I have to say. That in the past we were focusing more on, let's say, the first part of the commandment of Christ to spread and proclaim the gospel, but he says also, and make disciples. So that's the second part of his commandment, and we have to keep the two of them together. So in that sense, we said it's also important that we do not only proclaim, let's say, the gospel, but also that we make the disciples. Now, we are not a church, you know, so that's the other, you know, interesting topic, of course. Okay, can an NGO also make disciples or not? What do you do in countries, you know, where there is no church available? So you could say we want to work together with the church, which is not something that we love to work with the church, you know, that's not the issue. But if there is an area of the world like Afghanistan, you know, and there is no real church available on the ground, how do you deal with it? So that's the question that is at hand, and that's why he said, okay, maybe we have to then start to make the disciples that will build the church later on. So it doesn't have to be our type of church, but it may be their type of church, and it's something that is, you have to know beforehand, before you start with the media things, where you want to end, I would say.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
Because and another, if you remember the Acts, what Jesus said, you will be my witness till the end of the world. So practically, when we speak about classical way of proclaiming the gospel from person to person, or or a stadium, or sharing the Bibles on the street, there are a lot of ways to proclaim the gospel in a classical way. But in the media, I think, is something different. We can reach the unreachable very easy, especially now in this day, using the online, which is also, all of the television is online. I think they're online.
Yeah.
So we have to take this advantage. But by the way, speaking about television and media, there is a huge impact of this tool. If you speak about mass media in general, including TV, radio, and now social media, but especially television. And if we look now at the Romanian context, people had a lot of trust in what they see on TV.
Yes.
And generally, the commercial television and let's say most of the channel, they are looking for profit, they are looking for money, for more coverage, for more people, for profits, let's say. So when we speak with somebody investing in television, you probably look at somebody who wants to make more money, to have more power, to have more influences, not to preach the gospel, which is not bringing money, and it's also a way to consume the money. So why did you choose this? Because, honestly, if you look, it's not profitable, from the human point of view, you could do a television for entertainment, for gambling, for a lot of, you can find a lot of types of television, but why did you choose to take this responsibility to use this expensive tool to promote the gospel?
It's not because we are a rich organization and so on, so if you would think that, that's not true.
No.
Actually, it goes back to, I think, as far as 1990, when I went to a conference in England, and there were 650 Christians gathering there. And they were asked to stand in 3 compartments. One for print, half full. Radio, overwhelmingly full, Television, 6 people out of the 650. So what I said, we as all of us, I believe, need to have added value in the Lord's kingdom. So I would even say, despite the difficulties, despite even the theological questions, despite the costs, let us try to branch off into television, because that is what is most needed in the world today. So that's why the choice has been made, not because, we felt like this is the most fancy medium or whatever to use, much more. This, if we look at the Lord's kingdom, is what is needed the most to be done at this point of time. It may be a Dutch cultural thing as well, but anyway. The Lord uses all, I would say.
Absolutely. And this is God's, speciality, to use some certain times, some special people, put them together and create something extraordinary. Excellent. I'm very happy to hear these stories. Speaking about also history of your organization, how was the start? What was your first project? How did you feel at the beginning? When you start something, it's not very easy, I know.
Yeah.
There are a lot of questions. You are afraid, we will do it, we will finish it, what the other will say about, There are 1,000 reasons to give up, I'm sure.
Yes. Well, the organization started already 9 years before I came, so there were a variety of things done in just, what I just shared with you, in a lot of media type of work. But the original goal of our organization has always been, and has been confirmed a couple of years ago by one of our founders, that it was set up to make disciples. And if I look at the first project I was really involved in, I think it was in Swaziland. It was started already before I came, But then we also introduced more the television, let's say part of it, besides at that point of time radio, and trying to also see in that country, the tiny country of Swaziland, to get programs on the national television. So that was kind of the start, and we cooperated with the Evangelical Alliance of Swaziland at that point of time. Because our constitution also says you should not promote the, let's say, doctrine of one church only. So that means that we want to focus much more on the central issues and not on the issues that divide us.
Exactly.
And that's why unity has always been a very important point for us as well, in our existence. And I have seen also that due to this element of working together with a number of Christians in the country, I mean from different denominations and so on, we did get a lot of free airtime on prime time, even in a lot of Muslim countries even. Mm-hmm. So that's been one of the ways of working of unity, I would say, as well. One of the factors.
Excellent, excellent. We try to do the same, because even in Romania we have a lot of, let's say, specific doctrines about in our denomination. Here in Prodocens Media we try to keep everybody happy, so we practically put always in front what is uniting us, not which is dividing us. So we try to be together all the time. Now coming back to Romania, I know you're many times in Romania, you visited Romania, many times you're really doing a very good job here. So tell us a little bit of first experience in Romania as a missionary in media.
If I look at it, it has been also not been without struggles, as you indicated, in the beginning too. But we have been persistent in also trying to get a good partner, and I think we found it in Master Media, who has been producing programs that were of a good quality level. That means that you need to have good quality people, because otherwise you will not get to the level that you really want the programs to be. You need to have a team, you need to have them really working at it persistently and consistently. So in that sense, I believe it has been of significance in Romania, also sharing the programs on a lot of local and regional channels in the past. And a few, I even think, on national television, as far as I remember. But okay, at least one. Yeah. But okay, yeah. So it's been... I think also when we came here, we had the same, talks about, okay, we don't want to have one church or one doctrine to be up front. It has to be something that really is at the core of our Christian faith, which is based on John 17, 20-21, where Jesus prays in I would say the sensitive times of just before going to the cross. Let them be one, just like the Father and I am one. And then the reason is so that the world will believe. So even the unity is not just a small issue, I believe. And maybe we have to, I'm quite actually certain that if we would look more into this and take serious what he has been praying about, we would also set aside more of our doctrinal issues and work together towards, the world believing in Jesus Christ. Because that's the purpose of unity. It's not a kind of soft issue like, okay, we're all together or these kind of things. It's much more that we are working together despite our differences.
Yes, I fully agree. Regarding the spread across the world, in how many countries your organization is involved right now in media? I think 18. If I just quite a lot.
Quickly,
you have also in Africa, or also in Africa, in Asia, Europe?
There are 12 countries in Francophone West Africa. We've chosen the French part because of the fact that it's much more difficult than the English part.
Very nice, very nice reason.
So it's because otherwise they will be left out in the proclamation of the gospel. And now, especially there, on a lot of television stations, there are still the programs on prime time. But we're also in countries like I said, Afghanistan, Somalia, in Pakistan, as well as in Central Asia, Thailand, and Japan as well.
Wow. So Romania is also on the list, and I'm quite curious to see why at that moment you chose Romania. How was Romania for you at that moment? I mean, and how difficult it was for you and your organization to decide to come to Romania?
It's actually we were visited by Johan Pea, who has been the representative of the Evangelical Alliance of Romania long time ago, I think.
Yes.
You know? So,
30,
but we also talk about a long time ago. So he invited us to come to Romania, and based on his invitation, that's what we did. So in that sense, you know, he brought us actually to Romania, and that's when our, you know, quest for a good partner started. And in the end, as I said, you know, we partnered up with Master Media Foundation.
Great.
And that was not a difficult decision.
I'm happy to hear that. Because sometimes investing in Romania, especially in the 90s, where we had, even for us, for Romania, not all the things were very clear. Imagine, it was a crisis, inflation, we were coming from the communist era, you know, it was not easy for us, even for us to adapt. To somebody to come from our inside and invest here in something when you don't know if to be something which is working or not working. Yeah. It's a risky job, but you did it, and thanks God you did it, because you did a very good job during this year. And this is also because of Master Media you already mentioned. So now I'm going to Mircea, asking about the beginning of Master Media in Romania. Mircea, how do you see, how was the beginning? What is the history of Master Media in Romania? From your point of view.
Yes, from my point of view, of course. The beginning of Master Media was in 1996. By that time, there was not too much in the evangelical realm about media. It was, as I remember, the radio Voice of the Gospel. It was started by 92. Evangelical Alliance, 92.
Exactly.
Probably the first evangelical initiative, or even Christian. I don't know.
Yes. You know, it's too.
But in terms, especially in terms of television or video production, it was. We were, I think, maybe the first production house, Christian production house in Romania. It was also Alpha Omega. By then, it was also a company, not a television. But they were doing more like a translation and bringing programs from abroad. We were challenged by 3xM to make our own programs in Romanian culture for the Romanian and to express our Christianity, and not to import it from outside. Yeah. And what can I say? They helped a lot. First of all, with the equipment, and it was, by that time, the television was analogic, so they were bigger, heavier, and more cables, and very expensive. I mean, very expensive. And from the beginning, they brought the finest equipment. I think only the Romanian television and Master Media were having a Beta SP recorder, which was And also, I think when they switched to digital, when the television switched to digital, and it was the first version of Final Cut Pro that was developed by Apple. We were maybe not the first, but some of the first users in Romania due to 3xM. Yeah.
So a lot of innovation at that time.
Yes, not only this, but beside the top equipment that they were, so they somehow wanted to serve the gospel, first of all, in starting with the top quality equipment. But then they backed up this with quality teaching in how to do television. And we had, I think this is the best investment that they have done. And for me, it's my best preparation or training that I had. By that time, I was studying journalism, High School of Journalism.
You're also very young.
Yeah, you can see from my hair.
Me too. Yeah. I mean, I was also in the high school at that moment. If I look at
but it was the college. College. It was called High School of Journalism, and I was at the video department. But the only equipment that we had was a video.
Player.
That's it. Also, I had a course in television in Canada at a Christian television. But after all these years, I can say what really taught me and formed me as working in the video production was 3XM. The teachers, they became mentors for us. Yeah, and they were coming every year, and they were starting like, show me what you have produced last year. And after a few minutes, they were saying, you are preaching again, this is not television. And discussion, and also hands-on with equipment, and say, okay, let's do a program. How would you do?
This issue, we had it also. I mean, I think everybody makes this mistake, to switch from online church to television, Christian television.
Yeah.
Because everybody is preaching, sort of preaching, but if we do the same one in front of the camera, it's not like preaching in the gospel in the church using a video streaming tool or something. It's something different. You have to be more expressive. So you did the mistake, we did the same mistake after. So I think, because this is somehow not natural to make this mistake, but this is, the real television is real different. Good. So how was the cooperation in general with, beside trainings and helping with the equipment? Did your team grow? I mean, did you see the benefits of this cooperation?
Of course, it was a very good collaboration, and still is, even if they are not here anymore as parents. I mean, we are grown up now, we have to do it on our own. But the most important thing is that they told us from the beginning, we give you all the necessary conditions, we will not interfere in the production process. You know better what is best for your country in terms of Christianity, cultural background, and so on. And they just stepped back and said, shine. And I mean, you cannot ask for more.
No micromanagement, which is good. I mean, you let them alone and they have to decide themselves how to proceed to do it. Excellent. I like when I have free hand, you know, so people don't involve, don't involve too much, so practically we have the freedom to choose the production, to do it as you think, and it is good for the...
And to be relevant, and that's why they stressed always, be relevant.
Because, you know, what we did in the 90s is different now. If we try to do the same, it will not be easy, and probably possibly different people, different generations.
Yeah.
And the videos and the style and even the length of the videos. You know, people are not watching long videos today.
They don't have to
you see?
Yeah, sure.
So it should be short, and this is one of the big changes we see in our production. We have to be very, very short now to get attention of the people.
Yeah. Although sometimes, you know, even on TikTok there are very long programs. You know, it's supposed sometimes to be 2 hours, but some of our partners, if they really touch on a nerve that is really there, they sometimes go for 6 or 8 hours, and they continue to go. So that's a long, long time nowadays, because TikTok is normally, what is it, half a minute, and that's it. So you have to say it in this time, but then they have the longer version. They continue to go. So it depends, I would say. But in general, you are very correct.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So now a question for it. I mean, the same question I asked Mircea to you, Martin, regarding the relation with master media. How do you see it from the that side, you know?
Yeah. I think I commented on this already, you know, in the sense that I think that we had a real good collaboration with master media, in the sense of that we had some good board members in the organization, as well as also people that were doing the productions. And that means that you still can have a good, and that's what we're always looking for as well, an open conversation, I would say, about what do we want to, what goal do we want to reach, how do we want to reach it, and that we have what I would call, we are not familiar with the Romanian culture deeply, you know, we are familiar with, of course, our own culture, but maybe also by and large, we know a bit of a lot of cultures, but we don't know they have the deep knowledge. And I think the effect of working together in this kind of environment or situation means that you can come to a good way of synergy. If we have been, let's say, providing a lot of technical, let me put it like this, assistance and equipment, but then a lot of content is debated still, in the, let's say, the major issues and terminologies, but it's still coming from within a country. Then I think we have seen in Romania synergy on this aspect, but also in other countries with other partners we have seen the same. And that has to do, I think, with the aspect of, do we really want to work together as brothers in a relationship, or do we want to, let's say, see ourselves as donors that donate money and other stuff? And that's not what we have been trying to do. We've been trying to work together with, let's say, our partners here, in this case, Master Media, and I think it's been really fruitful in doing it this way.
Yes, that's great. One question for you both regarding the production you started in Romania, and probably the same in Netherlands at that moment, or in the other countries. For example, just starting from a real example as of today, if we watch at the people who are, let's say, happy with our production, we see that looking at the ages, the generation, we see that the young people between 13 and 17 are under 1% watching us. Mm-hmm. And most of the people who are watching us is from 20 to 45. I mean, this half of the people are on this time range. So how did you decide? Because I know we have an issue. So our production is not feasible for the teenager. Mm-hmm. We miss this production. But now we have the tools to measure it. I'm just making let's say, visiting time. How did you know at that moment how to adapt your production in order to be relevant? And during time, in the 90s, you didn't have this online tool or checking. You don't know if somebody is watching you or not watching you. There is no YouTube. No YouTube. You have to give it to a television. Yep. But even the television at that moment didn't have the tools to track if somebody is watching. I know probably everybody was watching movies or watching news, but you don't know if somebody was watching one of your productions. Mm-hmm. So sometimes when I see nice number, okay, I have 1 million views, oh, I'm happy. That means let's do it more. Yeah. If I have under 1%, people watching me, I'm not happy, and I say, okay, what shall I do? At least I have something to measure. At that moment, I think it was very easy. You were working somehow in the dark.
Yeah, somehow, but it was a point, and it was a process, of course, during the years, but it was a point, and that was, I would say, a major breakthrough when we put our programs to a big station in Bucharest, actually Teleshapte.
Teleshapte, yes. Yeah? I remember.
And we immediately we had the reactions by email, so we could measure by email. Even letters. Yes, even letters. So there were some forms of evaluation, and also the TV station that was broadcasting, we had a feedback from them. I mean, when we were starting discussions, we have a program. What kind of Christian programs? They were disappointed a little bit, and we were insisting. Okay, look at it and. Let's see, they were having their own feedback in a way, and they were happy after and saying, okay, yeah, we'd like to have more. So there were some means to measure the audience or the satisfaction of the viewers at least.
Well, and as an organization, we had a custom that I think once in 3 years we wanted to really verify with the scientific research how our programs were doing. I think we didn't do this in Romania, but we did it in other countries, just to go in and do a research amongst more than 1,000 people, randomly, and also dividing, the country in different compartments, and just go there and ask the people if they've seen your program, very specifically, the type of program and so on. And we really have seen the impact of those programs due to this kind of quantitative research. So we've been able to really see the influence of our programs.
Yeah, good. Now we live in a different time. We have more tools, and the people have more option to spend their times.
Yeah.
As we know, the call from God to spread the gospel is still valid, so we have still the call to proclaim the gospel across the globe. And now I would like, in the second half of our discussion, to speak about the current plans and the future plans regarding the television and spreading the gospel through television. How do you see today, and what are your plans on, generally speaking, about your organization, and also, Mircea, what you are doing right now as master media, and also on a personal aspect, because I know you already are progressing on your own studies. You are involved in a PhD on media at the University of Bucharest, so practically you are also investing in yourself regarding this topic on Christianity in television, which is very good. I'm happy. I think you are the first person I know that is doing this. So congratulations. So let's speak about the plans. I mean, I don't know if we can say plans, at least wishes regarding the future and the needs we can fulfill with our, let's say, possibilities we have.
Right now, there are many Christian televisions in Romania. The Orthodox Church has, which is a very good thing, its own television. The Catholic Church has 2. Evangelicals have 5. And probably there are others, but these are big at a national scale, I would say. So there is plenty of Christian television in the meantime. Master media is more now in an area of studying the phenomena. And I was challenged with this subject, and it was like a synergy between what I have learned and produced all those years with 3XM concerning Christian television, and now I'm taking it to a theoretical level. Like I started with the hands-on practical aspects, and we discovered together several things concerning Christian television, how we do it, and now having an interest also in theology, I discovered, and these 2 worlds of mine emerged together, and that's why I went further, and I'm in this PhD program now with this concept, which is called for the moment the word in image, word having the significance not only of the words but also the significance of Jesus. He is the word. How we put the word in image, that's the basic question, how we do it, and this is for all that it means Christian television. And from my point of view, as it is doing now, it's not quite the way it should be done, and that's my research theme and interest. How to use television, and that goes also for the social media, because it's a visual medium. How do you use this medium to transmit the Christian message? It's a problem of medium, first of all. You have to take in account this, okay? And then you have the message. What is this message? How do you use this medium? How affects each other? The medium, it's affecting the message, or so.
They are interconnected. This is my opinion. This is my own opinion. We live in the time of screens, of medium.
You cannot avoid image in this.
So we live by images, or whatever we go, we see a screen at least, or a picture, and what picture can be worth more. It says that it's more than 1,000 words. So we have to take this advantage. So practically, we are in the 21st century, and we have to use our, let's say, the contemporary tools to do the best in order to spread the gospel. We can use still pen and paper, of course. There are people who's doing this. We are using the Bible, and we are using the Bible. But if we can use the technologies, and we are living in these technologies, let's do it. And this is our call. I mean, to it. So we have to adapt our tools. And you know, even the smartphone, everybody has a smartphone. Yeah. We have to create messages for this tool.
Yeah.
So people, I mean, sometimes it's very difficult to us to invite a person. I mean, we invite, but I don't know if we are coming or not to a church, even a special service in a church. You know, Christmas or Easter, we have nice services during the Easter and Christmas. And for example, I have persons who never say no when I invite them, but they never come.
Yeah.
Or they say, okay, I will come, but they never come. Yes. But for these people, I can send them a short clip or a short message, maybe 1 minute, and I spread the gospel. I'm done. So I'm happy that you are the first person I know in Romania doing this stuff regarding us.
Me too.
Really, PhD studies on media. I did it on my master degree regarding the media, and my paper was called "Defending and the Promoting of Christian Values Using Media." Okay. But it's a master degree, so you can go very high level with this. Going at the next level.
Yes.
How do you adapt your content to the new tools, especially to the new one like TikTok, social media, Instagram? You know, for me, TikTok is something I don't understand. Even I'm living from technologies. Yes. I'm a Facebook guy. Yeah. I feel very comfortable on Facebook, but even on Instagram, I don't feel.
We can guess his age, I think.
Yeah, you can. We speak between us now, you know. For me, TikTok is nonsense, honestly. Sorry for my friends if you are a TikTok user, but we know that we have to be there.
Yes, we do.
We know that we have to be there. So what we try is to get in our team people who can produce for these people, you know. I'm not able to produce for this. I'm not in the mindset of doing it. No. How do you think? How do you see it?
I would say, you know, television is mentioned, you know, nothing as broadcasting. So, yes. But if you talk about social media, you talk about narrowcasting. So there's a difference already in the whole, you know, approach to the medium. And even if you talk about narrowcasting, you have to identify who you want to talk to. So if you want to talk to, let's say, the teenager that you're not reaching at this point of time, as you mentioned, then you have to gather people that know those teenagers, or probably have a group of teenagers here in the room, and just talk about, okay, who is this teenager and what is his or her name? And be very specific about needs and wants and desires, as well as on which platforms are you on. And then, after that, you have to decide, okay, what kind of campaigns can I really launch to these kind of people? Because they are reachable. It's not impossible, not at all. You know, it's just that you have to find the proper approach to these kind of people. If, let's say, we get, at this point of time, when we were not involved, there were 1,000 responses, and now there are 5,000 responses. If a country of Afghanistan, this is possible, you know, with the present regime that is there, then I would say a teenager in Romania is easier. You know, so it's kind of, is that really true? I'm trying to say it's very doable. So that will be, in my opinion, the future. However, there is another issue here, in the sense that, okay, you can make those programs based on the needs and the desires of those people, teenagers, but where do you want to take them? If you, let's say, have addressed them, where do you go with them? If they have an interest, what do you do with them? You know, is that send them to the nearest church? And then are you then really convinced that they will be taken good care of? Because in our work, what we have seen is that even if there are churches, some even said, to our shock, well, discipleship is not really an issue in our churches. So that's kind of a basic problem then already in itself, because it is about spreading of the gospel, But I had a very recent trip and somebody told me, okay, I supported the Jesus film. I probably shouldn't say the name of this, but then it doesn't matter so much. But if there is no proper follow-up, there's 100% backsliding. So that's the other thing. You can do a lot of effort into reaching people, but if you do not have a real program then, let's say from there onwards, in what you want to do with the people that you reach, it's also not going very far. That's actually what I'm saying.
It's some kind of hanging in the air.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So yes, you reach them, and maybe they have even a spur of the Holy Spirit or something, to convince them to follow Jesus. But then, where do you lead them? Do you bring them into a Christian community
Absolutely.
or not?
That's the final stage.
Yeah.
Leading them into a reality in a community where you can share the gospel with the others.
Yes, and I would add a little bit to Martin. First of all, yes, we encountered this problem as master media. We had reactions. We didn't expect to have so many, and then it was okay to where to direct these people. We didn't have time for them. We were consuming our time producing. So that's very important, but I would add also another issue that it's more within the side of Christian role. Let's say you said about TikTok and you want to be a Christian TikToker. Television, social media, doesn't matter. You must do a double effort because you have to be a Christian, first of all, and to know your message. And second, you have to know your medium. You want to on the TikTok? Okay, know TikTok. Do quality TikTok materials. But you want to send Christian message through TikTok. So, do you know your message? So these are message and medium. You have to know them. That's a double effort. You have to know them as best as you can.
Absolutely.
Because many are Christians say, let's have a Christian television, let's put some Christian message, and they put a sermon. Do the audience are familiar? No. Do they understand the language? So know actually I would ask beyond the sermon, what is your message? So know your message and know the medium.
Yeah, I had this experience with people who are trying to preach here, it's as a discussion, but they cannot adapt their speech and cannot make really a difference between a sermon and a discussion.
Because that's how they
talk show.
Yes.
That's how they understand it's the Christian message. They see only sermon, because that's the central point in, especially in the evangelical churches or the liturgy in the Orthodox churches. But is this the proper way of sending, this message through the medium of television, social?
In general, I would say, if you are on television or even in those, let's say, platforms, you are much more on the marketplace. How would you consider yourself to share a message in the marketplace? Yeah. Not so much in the church. Plus, how many people would watch, let's say, an imam quoting the Quran and explaining very much in depth these stories? A lot of Christians would say, hey, that's enough for me. I don't want to see this guy anymore. But then I'm going back to the Bible and saying, okay, if we look at the Bible, then Jesus spoke a lot in parables.
Yes.
So what happened to that? What happened to just also using stories? And stories can be really, short films, whatever, to really portray
exactly
what is needed,
Christian message.
Yeah, and then you play out, maybe in a drama form even, this parable. Because then you really portray, it in a manner that's understood by the people in the country, if you do it in their cultural ways. But it's also in a more indirect way, bringing the message, towards light, I would say. And that's, somehow I think we have been forgetting about the implicit and indirect ways that are in the parables of Jesus. And that's something that we have to regain again, I believe. Because Jesus was doing this mainly in the public square. He wasn't doing this, in church as such. Then he was preaching from, let's say, the Torah and all that. Yeah. So that was clear. That was the place for it. So, but then to make, let's say, a real parable that is really sensible, that is really applicable, and that is fitting to the audience is a challenge.
And hence my subject, how do you put word in image?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice, very good. So my last question to you, we were speaking about the relation between you and the churches, practically to work together with the local church to direct the people to the churches. Is one of the connection. How do you see the relation with the church also on the support side? You know, because let's speak about the support and also regarding the relation with the finances, because you know, in order to spread the gospel, you need the Holy Spirit, you need the people, and you need the finance. You know, you need the resources. So, how do you see this relation with the people in the churches and in the communities?
If I look at our work, you know, most of the our income comes from donations. That's number one. Donations from, let's say, individuals, more especially from the Netherlands, but also from the business world in the US and elsewhere. So it is actually a support that is not coming from churches as such. I think probably less than 1% is coming from churches in our case. People always kind of think that the churches will be very generous to what you do. That has not been proven the case in our, you know, existence of more than 40 years even. So it's been much more the individuals, or let's say the business owners, that have been really supportive of our work. And if you then would say, okay, the relation with the churches on the field has been, that's what we really want to see happen. But if we really, as we have done the last, let's say, couple of years, we've been looking into this much more deeply, and it's not so easy. You know, also in Muslim countries, not all the churches like Muslims to come to their church, because it may endanger even their presence, their being, and they're struggling already, which I understand. So how do you then solve the issue of a seeker that comes through your media ways and goes, where does he or she go, you know? And the path that we are taking at this point of time is to think more about disciple makers. They will come from the churches to really also walk alongside these seekers. And in the end, if the churches are not willing to accept them, they may have to set up their own infrastructure. Absolutely, like a local church. Yes, it's true. Good. So we're almost at the end. Now, as a last word for both of you, as an experienced person, you also the same, Mircea. How do you see like the Christian television now in Romania? If you had the time to watch it, or something like an advice, even for us, for Prodocens Media, let's say like a word or encouragement, or I don't know. How, if you probably it's your first touch with us, but also you know the other television. What can you say now at the end of as like a message? All right. For me, it is always good if Christians work in unity. This is the third time I'm talking about it right now. Mm-hmm. But it has proven itself, you know, to be really valuable. Not to dive into the differences, but I think even the Christian television stations here they want to do the same thing. So that's another issue. Do you have to all come together? That's not what I'm saying. But how could you possibly support one another in a much better way? Because I would challenge you, as I just said, you know, to make more of those stories on maybe the issues that really are, I would say, hurting in the society. What is really hurting here in your Romanian society? You can go to the United Nations list, but that's not really what I prefer, because it's also about the spiritual way of putting, let's say, the top issues that you feel. Yes. What are the 5 top issues that this country is struggling with? Now make programs about those kind of issues that will appeal to not only, let's say, Christian viewers, but also the non-Christian viewers. And do it in such a way that it is really well done. You know, that will be my challenge to the production side. If you would talk about the churches, I would say take discipleship very serious. You know, it's been, I think, overlooked too much in the past, even within our own churches. Also in the Netherlands, in the US, we see a lot of decline of Christians. And is that also not because of the fact that we are not really thinking through the whole concept of discipleship, even for ourselves? And that process is just as important as the evangelism. And let us step out of our comfort zone for both. Meaning that maybe even in discipleship, yes, we can all refer people to all different churches. We have made a lot of issues crucial to ourselves. And if I would phrase the question like this, what is most important to Jesus instead of to us? Then a lot of our doctrinal issues will go away. Because I think he has other emphasis on a lot of things than we have. And even if there are different opinions and we all believe in the same Jesus, can we not come together? You know, that would be my call on the churches here as well, to maybe, I would say, soften up on the most of the things that we are fighting about ourselves. Now that's kind of impossible what I'm asking maybe, but I'm still doing it, you know, because having done this for over 30 years, we have worked with all kinds of Christians that want to follow Jesus Christ. They all want the same thing. So let us forget about a lot of doctrinal issues, and let's focus much more on Jesus and follow him and proclaim him, and also give him a real place in our life instead of fighting with one another. And then I think we will become strong as united in the Lord's kingdom and be a real force in our own society.
Yes, excellent message. Mircea?
I would say that in this time, the Christian television would have a huge opportunity, especially, or at least for Romania. In what way? We have even a saying, ați mințit poporul cu televizorul. You have lied the people with the TV. So, and especially television now, it's not at its highest point, but in a low one. So in this society, in Romanian society, Christian televisions can become beacons, can become a point of reference for the society in order to say, if I want to know the truth, if I want to be well informed or having people of good faith, I will look at these televisions. But what are these televisions doing? They are preaching. Exactly. They are talking in a language that sometimes is not understandable by the common people. And I would say, I would refer to what Martin said, talk more about the current issues, the current problems of the people from a Christian perspective. But again, for this, to do it in a quality, with a good quality and relevant, you have to know your message. Before to make a program, you have to know how your Christian perspective over a certain issue is to, first of all, which is it, this perspective? You have to define for yourself, first of all, and then to be able to deliver to others. And then the second step, so I said it's a double effort, how shall I put this in a visual form? To be attractive, to be interesting. So in the end, the people will feel, he would say, I like this program, I learned from it. Not to have this feeling that we try to force on his mind Christian issues. You know how they are perceived, this kind of television in Romania? Like religious.
Religious.
We say Christian, but they perceive it as, oh, it's a religion, I'm not interested. So you have to make it in such a way that people say, it's interesting, it appeals to my...
So if it's like, you know, if you have a meal, how much salt do you put in the meal? You know, so I mean, how much of the gospel do you put into the meal for a non-Christian so that it's still a nice and good meal? Is that going to be the whole salt, you know, and just put everything, like sometimes you have the tendency, then it's really a good message, but somebody will not eat it anymore because the meal is not, you know, to his appetite.
Exactly. You have to adapt.
Yeah.
You have to adapt. Guys, it was very nice to talk to you, honestly. I'm very happy to have this discussion. Thank you for coming to our studio. Thank you, Martin, for a very nice message. I took some notes here, you know. I took some notes. Mircea, thank you very much. We will see anyway in other production together. So I wish you, let's say, success in future, and also God bless you. And no matter where you will go, in which country, do exactly what you told us to do, and the gospel will be proclaimed as we all like.
Thank you for the invitation. God bless you too with your station here, you know, and go with God, you know, that's what I would say.
Thank you, amen. Stimați prieteni și dumneavoastră, vă mulțumim pentru seara aceasta. Vă mulțumim că ați fost cu noi. Până data viitoare, noi vă salutăm și vă spunem la revedere!